Good morning, traders, and welcome to the Bookmap All Markets webinar. This is Bruce at Bookmap. And good morning. We'll be going through the live order flow and understanding the participants' behavior in the auction market process. And that's what order flow is good for. The only way that people can participate in the markets is via the orders. So understanding the behavior and the order flow gives us that insight to what people think about the market. And there's a lot to cover today on that. Anyway, we'll jump in here. And this is our Bookmap Academy process in here that we do the same thing here in this webinar. I went through it in more detail yesterday, so I'm just going to briefly cover it. Impetus, what's moving the market, the fundamentals, or maybe key technical levels as well, or both. And then our key levels on the higher time frame, understand that. And then we start to develop scenarios and strategies around those key levels. So going long, going short, is it kind of a mean reversion type of activity, or is it an extended range? These are the kinds of scenarios we start to look at, but then it comes down to our setup, and we want to select the proper setup for the day. We should know our setup. We go through our checklist, we grade it, we determine our risk and sizing, and then we execute based on the order flow and the management as well on the order flow. All right, so Bruce's pilot program, I'll talk more about that. The general disclosure: all Bookmap limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right, so let's jump in here and take a look at Bookmap. So yesterday we started off on the higher time frame, looking at the weekly and daily charts, and then went through the order flow. Then let's take a look at today. All right, so a nice sell-off here at the cash open, and it's around that time of day where we are anticipating some back and forth now. Okay, so we have not traded down to this 6,600 yet. I imagine we will, but this is where things get tricky. All right, and get people on the hook. The market bashes around back and forth, and there's all sorts of things happening. And then then we're looking for the trend continuation. All right, so let's just step back here. We'll take a look at our candlestick chart here to begin with. Here's the daily, the hourly on the left-hand side, the hourly in the middle, and then the 15-minute on the right. All right, so the daily chart. We talked about this at length yesterday, where we are looking for, or we see a sentiment shift in here. And we're still finding buyers at the lows. We were at least at the lows, and then we're finding sellers or lack of buyers up at the top. And that's what we were looking for starting last Friday after this kind of a doji here that we see in this big long wick here on this candle from Friday. And we were looking for multi-day highs, and then we started to find some sellers, and we found a lot of them. So we're starting to see the candles. Look at the size of the candles. Look at the volume as well. So it's picking up and we're going down. All right, so we're seeing a sentiment shift in here. What's going on? What accounts for this sentiment shift? Well, it has to do with the fundamentals out there, and well, it's actually more market sentiment than anything about evaluations being overblown on tech stocks and AI, which is probably true. I think it's been true for a couple of years, to be honest. And now the market is reacting. All right, what does this mean in the bigger picture? Well, there's another thing to take a look at, and that's the Fed. How is the Fed reacting? Well, in September, we got a rate cut. At all-time highs, we got a rate cut. And traders were thinking, well, we'll probably get another rate cut in December. Well, I don't know about that now. And that's I kind of wondered that even in September, but it's more likely off the table now. Okay, and now we're going to start to get data too. So we're going to find out about employment data, which we know is critical for the Fed to make decisions about rate cuts, etc. So anyway, we have earnings tomorrow. We had some bad earnings from Home Depot, and we also have tomorrow. Really important date will be the market close and NVIDIA earnings. Okay, so that's going to be really the kind of key, and we can see that I think earnings are going to be good for NVIDIA, but we're seeing this reaction to the market sentiment here. And yeah, non-farm on Friday. That's right. So is it Friday? I'm seeing Thursday, Alois, but I mean, typically it's on Friday. And I don't know if I don't even know what it is that they're going to be releasing. Is it September? Is it October? So anyway, I haven't looked into those details yet. But we're going to start to get some data, and we're going to have more things to look at here in terms of market sentiment. All right, so let's see here. It's on Thursday. Ooh, I don't like hearing that I'm right, Alois. You're always right. I pretend I didn't see that. So I like that. So you're the best sounding board, basically. All right. So let's take a look and see what's happening now in the order flow and well, I mean, we see this kind of sideways action, the move to the upside right at the cash open, and then the dagger comes in, and we see this move to the downside. Now, we want to understand, we left off yesterday talking about this kind of understanding that of this passive liquidity and the aggressor and the market structure. Okay, all three of these things are so important, and why we were covering the trend line break and accumulation strategy to begin with, and then we would start to put these pieces together. Like, okay, are we seeing a trend line break or a structure break? We're seeing lots of liquidity getting filled here. Okay, but let's take a step back here. We got to be kind of careful about this, and this is where with Duzman we continue to go over this. Market sentiment is down. There's more volume and more movement to the downside. It's going to be hard to find buyers and to find a move back to the upside here. So maybe this is all we get. Okay, so how can we start to put these things together? Well, if we're looking for a bigger trend line break, is that likely to happen and then likely to see this move, just go rocket to the upside? Not in this environment. Okay, so this is putting these pieces together. In fact, it's the opposite. We would be looking for the trend line. We would want to see lots of liquidity getting filled on the offer. And then we want to see the structure break to the downside and then go with that bigger trend here. Okay. And that is going to be much more probable. All right. So anyway, it's these three elements that we continue to go through in here. First off, the passive liquidity getting filled, in the marketplace. in this case on the bid on the way down. Okay, and then the passive orders here on the offer. We also want to understand this up here. So did they get filled in these areas in here? And yeah, a little bit. Now, see, this is what I'm talking about. This is what we can put together in here. How much got filled up in here? Okay, a little bit, not bad, right? But let's take a look at the market structure. Okay, so it retested up here. That's not bad. Okay, it found some liquidity, and it traded here at a lower liquidity at a lower level in here. Right. So in this market condition, you know, we're going to find more likely we're going to find more aggressive sellers take this market back down. Right. So that's what we'd be looking for. Right. It doesn't take too much passive liquidity in here. It's more like lack of aggressors, and then the sellers come back in, and then we can look for the continuation to the downside. All right. So that is the environment that we are in right now, and we want to understand that context. And this is putting the pieces together in God, I'm trying to be articulate about this because the trend line break and accumulation, it's really understanding the context of these elements. It's not about just you know, checking these things off. Now we do have a checklist, but it's not just like saying, okay, there it is, yeah, you know, move on to the next one, yeah, move on, etc. We need to put this in context, and this will help us quite a bit. And you know, it's hard. It's hard to. This is what makes trading difficult. I feel is it's hard to put that into context and not be confused. All right. So how do we do that? Well, I mean, that's why we start with this process here. Okay, of like understanding what's moving the market, what are our key levels, what are our scenarios and strategies, and then finally getting to our setup. Okay, so our scenario in here is well, you know, I'm not looking for a lot of buyers here right now. Now we may get them coming back up here now, but we need to see a real big change here. Okay? So look, you know, this time of day is fantastic. We would look for at this time of day a retest back up into here, and maybe a spike through here, and then maybe a failure. Okay, and then the continuation to the downside. So what I'm talking about in here is, let's go back to the Learning Center for a moment. All right. Okay, so these setups in here, okay, that we've talked about and brought up in the academy, and it's during this time really. There's three different patterns in here: the wedge pattern, the flag with failed breakout, and the failed mid-morning reversal. Okay, so what we're talking about, there we go. So there's the move up into that high liquidity. And this is perfect for this time of day. All right, where are we going to go? How many buyers are we finding? Are we getting a stop run? You know, I feel that we need to take a look at this and look at the auction. But this is not out of expectations at all. Okay, so where are we going to go? Maybe low volume nodes up in here. Okay, I'm looking for this, though, this pattern in here and this range in here, this breakout above, and then I want to see it fail and come back in and then trade back down to the 6,600 level down here and through it. Okay, so anyway, that's a scenario to take a look for, and this would be a you know, a failed breakout is what I'm assuming is going to happen here. Now, that's the scenario. Okay, now let's look at a setup in here. All right, so what do we have? Okay, high liquidity filled in here. I did not get the big stop run I was looking for, but we do have some exhaustion up here. We're not finding too many buyers up here. Okay, now there's some, but it's not a whole lot. All right, so let's see if we can find some more sellers in here, and then we're looking for this small structure here to break, and then come back into the range and then to the downside. Now, the thing that can be kind of confusing here is the advertising in this area in here. Get people going long. All right, so we'll take a look in here. Like, but I get people going long, and then for the next like hour or so, and then finally turn around and get that trend continuation to the downside near the London close. All right, so that covers it pretty much regarding like some of the conversations we had in the Bookmap Academy. That London close, I think last Academy session we talked a lot about that. Right. So let me see if there are any questions over here on YouTube. No. Okay. All right, let's see. Let's watch this in here. Okay, now our mid-morning reversal, what that looks like is exactly this in here. Would be kind of like, well, kind of like this, is a double top up in here. So leg one on a breakout, a lot of times it goes a little bit higher, and then leg two, and we don't get follow through. Okay, so here we go. Now let's see. I would look for these sellers here to hit it hard. Okay, and let's see if they can come back down to here. 15 looks pretty good. Okay, so there's liquidity there, and look where the buyers came in on this move to the upside. Okay, right in here at 15, but ultimately we're looking for our figure and below the figure down here at 6,600. All right, so yeah, Richard, what can be your confirmation? Well, we're going to use the order flow for our confirmations, okay, and our insights here. All right, let's see if I look for some selling right here, right now. Let's see if we can get that. Okay, I'm going to be very careful on this one. I don't think we're out of the woods yet, but I would look for some sellers right around here. Okay, there's some exhaustion now. Are there sellers? See, this is very trappy in here. It's this time of day, and we're well aware of it. You know, don't take the bait on some of these things until we get that kind of confirmation. Okay, now the squeeze is on. Let's see if we get a big stop run. We were looking for a big stop run in here earlier. We didn't quite get it. Okay, the biggest stop run is here. Okay, so there's high liquidity up in this area here, and so far, some buyers, and then we see some exhaustion here. So we're going to find a few sellers here, but we're not out of the woods. We got to break some of this structure in here. Okay, this level, and then we want to see our 25 level also break. I'm still looking for 15 down below here. Yeah, I like 15. This is where those buyers came in and supported this. See how we didn't break that structure? Okay. Guys, market structure is such an important part of all this. This is our really our friend in here for order flow. It is the order flow within the market structure. Okay, so let's just trade it a little bit higher here. We have not broken above this structure up here though, not yet. Okay, at 66.40. All right, looks like we found a few sellers here. All right, so now let's see if we can get our sellers in here and break down into 25 and then hit 15. Okay, look at the offer in here. So this is going to give us some insight right here. See the offer here? Do buyers take it on? Actually, they do. All right, so yeah, we're not now we're less sure here. Okay, we want to see that this high liquidity in here repel price away and not transact. Okay, so because buyers met the sellers here, we're looking for them to kind of push the buyers away, but we found some buying interest, right? So that's just what happened here. That's just fact. There's some exhaustion again. All right, sellers, let's see it now. Okay, let's see if we can get below 25. This is going to be one of those sessions. It's going to be a lot of back and forth. Yep. There we go. Right. So guys, be very careful in this environment in here. This is classic during this period and this kind of structure in here. We all think it's going to the downside, right? We all have our reasons in here. We went through it fundamentally. On the daily chart, I'm looking for a retest down into these wicks down in here. We know the momentum's to the downside. What's going on in here is this time of day. After the move to the downside, we find this kind of a move back up or this back and forth in here. And then we're looking for the trend to continue later. Okay. And it was like yesterday, what we talked about in some detail was going through and understanding the passive accumulation. And if we don't have the passive accumulation, then we're looking for stop runs at the edges and pushing the market up through into areas and getting the aggressors to be people exiting the market. Okay, so for example, these buyers in here can accumulate a little bit more. They will be sellers down below 25. Okay, and then it's also true that anyone that sells down here and this rejects right around this 25 level, then they will be buyers back up in here, up into this kind of 40 to 45 area here. Okay, so be very, very careful here. This can be a false breakdown, then a stop run to the upside here. Okay, there's a stop run to the downside right there, and then here we are back into the range in here. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. All right, let's see him squeeze it up to 37 or 40 here. It's pretty good. All right, guys. This too, again, this move up in here. Do we see a lot of passive accumulation in here? No, we don't. So this is all about the aggressor in here, right? So we need to see sellers in here be on the hook. Where are they on the hook? Here, and maybe in here, and well, maybe we have a new bunch of sellers in here on the hook. Okay, so then the scenario would be if buyers can move it back up above the swing here around 35, then we would look for the squeeze up into this liquidity up in here. All right, let's get rid of some of this. All right. So we're getting a little more information, a little more insight in here, and we did not get that squeeze up into this liquidity. Now we're down to our 15 level, which we were looking for earlier, yeah, I think we'll get a bounce here, to be honest. But what does this tell us in here so far about the sentiment? Well, my read on it here is. We tried to get up here, right? And try to get up into this liquidity up in here, but the market sentiment is pretty negative, right? So I'm looking for a small bounce in here right now, but basically this is telling me that I'm not really looking for a lot of buying up in here. I'm looking for the sellers. There's more. The sentiment is to the downside clearly, and we're looking for the after reading this up in here, this structure in here, I would look for the sellers to hit back down lower now. Okay, so I mean maybe a pullback into like maybe up to like 27, maybe 22 here, but the sentiment in here after this move here, I'm looking for more sellers. And let's see if they can follow through here and then get back down into this liquidity here at 06, but 6600 be fantastic. Floyd's Garage, welcome. It's good to see you back. How to identify stop runs? Yeah, well, Muga. Yeah, we have this indicator in here. It's an add-on package that uh, we have with icebergs and stops, and we can read those transactions. It's just fact. And how do we know that? Well, this is something the CME released. It's only for CME group futures, and it's called market by order data. And being able to understand the transactions of stops and icebergs, okay, where they're taking place. This is in the subchart. We also have it on chart. Yeah, MBO data, market by order data. And what that means is, so if I look at the order book here, okay, this is called market by price right in here. Okay, so I'm reading the price levels, and so this is depth of market basically, but I'm able to read the price levels and how many orders there are, how many, what is the amount of not orders but contracts per price level, and that's called market by price. Okay, now if I can look into some of these areas in here, let's just go back a little bit here. Okay, so like down here we see 46 on the bid here at 66.17. Okay, well, we know there's 46 contracts here. That is the total volume here available for purchase. But how many orders are in here? In fact, our large lot tracker here is showing us that probably around 15 or of those is one individual actor. Okay, so that's an add-on we've had for quite a while as part of our Global Plus subscription. But market by order can show the total volume or total amount per price level, as well as total number of orders per price level, and that is market by order. Okay, that's what it means. However, what it also means was, now that we know when they come into the queue here, there's all sorts of things we can derive from that, which is amazing. And being able to see stop order transactions is part of it, as well as the something the CME offered with the iceberg ID numbers, so we can also see the iceberg transactions. All right, so anyway, more transparency. These markets are the most transparent, in my opinion, than anything else out there. All right, guys, let's see if we can get that follow through now to the downside after that move to the upside here. Let's see. Okay, we had a couple of hits up here, and now I want to see sellers come in hard right below this 66.12 here. Okay, and we're not there yet. You can see it's still kind of bouncing here. Okay, traded into high liquidity here and here and here at 66.12. So we can see we're kind of bouncing. Okay. All right, so just traded into some liquidity up here as well. Now let's see if we can get our sellers coming in and hit it right here, guys. Let's see it, sellers, right there down into and through 12. Let's see if we can get it. Nope. Still squeezing. Nice squeeze there. Look at that. Okay, so there's your stop run right here. See this red line going to the upside? That is the stop run. Okay, now I want to see it fail though above this range. I don't want to see sellers come back in below it. Okay, so that would be my primary scenario here. Secondary scenario is still squeeze and hit high liquidity up here at 30 and 35. All right, so let's put this context together here. Below here, below 20, we can get some sellers. Okay, and then I'd look for them to hit the bid hard. Okay, I don't see them yet. I don't see them yet. Let's see, you get a retest here. There we go. All right, sellers, let's see if you can hit it hard now. And hit down into 12, 10, well, all the way down to 6,600. Anyway, guys, these are, they're not really setups here. I need to reiterate that. We're just kind of looking for these things to unfold, order flow phenomena to unfold. Okay, we can put this kind of knowledge into our quiver, though, in our setups. Right, so to get into the very specific setups, well, we can look for a few in here, but I don't really see anything unfolding at the moment. Come on, sellers, still looking for them to hit this hard and into and through. Okay, it looks like another squeeze. Now, just up to the swing up here. Okay, we've got another one up here plus the 30 level liquidity. These are hard reads. As soon as you're looking for that breakdown, you see it snap back like this and stop everybody out. This is precisely why we want to look for the high liquidity get filled, the passive liquidity. We want that on our side. Let's get one more squeeze here before we drop here. All right, buyers, let's see if what can you do? What can you pull off in here? How many sellers can you stop out in this area in here? Or is it going to attract new buyers so that they can get squeezed to the downside? I don't know. We're seeing these small pops in here. Here, let's go through something. All right, this will be helpful. So just looking at this, for example, right? This is classic, technical analysis. It's fine. We're looking at structure diagonally in this case, and we're looking for at some place a break in here. Okay, now, what the order flow can do to help us here? Well, we look for many different things. First off, we've been talking about these squeezes, but we're also looking for a lack of buyers and or absorption of sellers. So an absorption by the passive orders in here. Okay, so let's see if still looking for this 12 to transact here, and we got this buying in here trying to make something of it, and they cannot get back up above this structure here. Okay? And there's our sellers. All right, I'm looking for the sellers to drop it here, we had the buyers had their fun in here squeezing this, and they weren't able to get back up above the structure. Now let's see if the sellers can punish them and hit down, and finally what we're all been looking for here is the move into that 6,600 liquidity. It's just, this is just too difficult to determine. We don't know, right? We can get one more big pop and squeeze to the upside here, and then turn around and then get the move back down. Okay, we just don't know. This is just kind of gambling in here, right? We're just looking at trying to get an understanding of the order flow in here, and then the one thing that I think we have as an advantage here is looking for these squeezes and then for them to fail. Okay, there's some selling. All right, now how many points did this go? Like 12, 13 down to 08, 09. It's not bad. That might be enough to carry it through. All right, then we got to see sellers right here at 08.5, and then for them to hit it hard. Yeah, still looking for that. And I want to see buyers get out of the way. Let the sellers have it. The buyers will regroup below, 6,600. And a nice little squeeze. Yeah, guys, frustrating environment. We're not really getting too much clarity here. I mean, look at this. Look at this price action in here. Okay, I think the best thing is to just look for these squeezes and then look for them to fail. At least you can get in like at the upper ranges, like up above here, into some liquidity up in here. And then let's see if we get some selling. Yeah, so we had some passive liquidity filled in here, not much. Now let's zoom out. Let's look at our bigger picture here. And I'm going to clear the drawings. Quite a bit of buying, actually, if looking at the delta bars down here. Again, though, that once we get down below here, I mean, like any buying, anyone going long in here is going to really feel the pain to the downside. And let's look at our candles. Okay, so I'm not getting much out of any of them in here. Maybe some from the 15-minute chart. You can see in here the retest back up here in the 15-minute. It failed. And then you can see that we just retested the lows down here. And then we're seeing a little bit of a bounce, right? Okay, in this 15-minute period. But I'm looking for these sellers then to hit again and try to make the low into this kind of 07. Right, so let's look for that scenario in here. And what does that look like? Our 07, well, our 07 is just right here. Okay, yeah, I like it. I mean, I like seeing all this buying on the hook in here. And now let's see if we get our sellers. Okay, that would be our primary scenario. Second one would be if we come back up above this 21, then we'd look for buyers to try to take it back up into 26 or even some of the swings up at 37. Okay, so that would be up in this area up in here, and this liquidity up here. And our 27 swing is here. And our 37 swing up there. And we did not get any selling in here. Yeah, this is really just pretty horrible stuff. Let me see if there's any questions here. What is the mean of the crosses? Oh, yeah, don't put too much into that. Richard, when you see them crossing over here, first off, you know, the way I have the setting here, I'm looking at the stops and icebergs as cumulative volume delta. Okay, and it just means that there was a lot of iceberg buying in here and a lot of people getting stopped out on the way down. Okay, what we want to start to put together though in terms of context is not so much a crossover. Like don't put too much into that. Sometimes it can be meaningful, but really it's more at the swings and starting to understand the behavior. And again, this is not an indicator or a signal service. This is more of like confluence is what we're looking for. So like right now, for example, I would be looking for the scenario of all of this buying being on the hook. If we can break the structure here, okay, or here, on some heavy selling. See, and we can't right now, right? We're not seeing it. So we're still finding some buyers off the bottom edges in here. Okay, but I'm looking for them to be on the hook, and then for them to drive the price lower when they have to cover. All right, so do I see a lot of iceberg buying in here by larger players? Not much. And it's a very quiet period in here. I do not see many stops either, right? So what does that mean? What can I take away from that? Well, I can take away that this is real buying then. If we don't see a lot of stops in here, there's some, right? But if we don't see a whole lot, then I'm looking for, if are these new positions in here, then I want to see them get stopped out. Okay, and I want to see them move the market as sellers. And here we go. Like, let's see if we can get it right now. So now watch, we'll see if we get our big stop run in here. Okay, because we see sellers in here, and can we start to trigger a response from some of the buyers in here that say, okay, I'm out. Okay, and nothing yet, but I'm looking for it, and I'm looking for, again, after trading up here, now can we trade back down here? Okay, so after the swing up here, above that, can we trade back down below this swing here at 06 or 7? This is the S&P E-mini, Victor. Yeah, see, Muga, what we had mentioned here was I'm looking for, even in this area in here, there's something I didn't like about it, about this breakdown in here. And that is, like, actually, I kind of prefer in this kind of environment, like I said, it's a tricky environment, but I like seeing this up here. Okay, because then I know that we can get sellers down here. Okay, understood? Okay, whereas in here, this was kind of classic technical analysis is what I was kind of calling it. And it's like, oh, okay, we should go in the direction of the trend and whatever. And it starts to, and then look at the squeeze and look at the BS that happens in here, right? And then finally to see it do exactly what we're looking for anyway, right? But after the BS, after all of this back and forth in here. Okay, so that I like seeing that on the hook. Now, there's a big question in here about this, though, and the caveat in here is who's on the hook, right? So am I on the hook now? If I sold in this area in here, well, I might be, and I can be really squeezed here above this 11 area here, and we could see it, just rocket up to 20 or 26. Okay, so I don't know, in this environment, like, I like to see and trade down to some of these areas and then get out. Sometimes everything, other times maybe hold and then get stopped out at break even on the rest. Okay, so there's our, finally we get our move, right? After all of this is classic. I mean, like, it's no conspiracy theory or anything like that. It's just people on the hook. Okay, and we're trying to understand that behavior in here with the stop runs, right? So this was kind of what we were looking at earlier, and then everyone knows that you're supposed to sell that, right? And then everyone gets hooked as they get stopped out, probably back up above here. Now the funny thing is I don't see a whole lot of stops up there. Okay, but the market tested at least up here. Now we're getting stops. Okay. Into and through our 6600. Well, it's a tough environment. I mean, we're looking for pure direction, and we're um, that's what we're all looking for. But the market just doesn't give it up that easy. And look at this, right? You would have been looking for the same thing over here. Uh, and then you would have been stopped out up above here and above this swing here, tested up above. But now we're getting more of a direction here. How to deal with it is, well, I mean, either there's a couple different ways we've always talked about it. Is number one is you can look at it and just there's three things you can do. First, don't trade. Second, look for small scalps. Okay, trading up to areas and getting out. If it's in the direction of the bigger trend, then you can stay in a little longer. But don't lose money on it. Don't get squeezed. And take some partial off so at least you get something out of it. And then thirdly is you can just also trade higher time frames. So you could look at this in here. Let's just add our candles on here. Okay, and I think this is 15 minutes. Let's see. Yeah, 15-minute candles. So how do you deal with that? Well, you're going to have some pretty wide stops. I mean, these are just some considerations in here. To try to protect yourself and make some money out of a very choppy session. Anyway, there's I think we'll just let's just wrap it up and we'll call it a day in here. It's just we'll wait until like we have a little more clarity after tomorrow, after Nvidia. I mean, I think expectations are for that to be good. So you see some buyers, but it's the overall sentiment that we've seen the last few days that is moving price to the downside. Yeah, market sentiment is an odd thing. All right, yeah, I think we'll just wrap it up here. Let's see, you're new to Bookmap. Alex, would be the best approach? Yeah, I think what would probably be the uh, best approach is to um, come over to the Learning Center and go to bookmap.com, which is not working at the moment. The Cloudflare website or provider is having some issues right now. Anyway, in that case, just come over to our Discord channel, and you can register for and have well, either the free version of Bookmapping, you can still get access to our Discord, or if you subscribe to Bookmap, of course, you'll have access to our Discord. Okay, you'll just need to verify your email. And then there's tons of information over here in Discord and tons of help. We've got a great community to help you out on all sorts of fronts. Okay, and then attend these events, ask questions, etc. And then bookmap.com and the Learning Center will also be a great resource for you. Okay. Well, I hope you guys learned something today. I mean, like, it's a very, it can be very tricky, and like, this move to the downside and through it. This is what we were looking for. It took forever for this to work out after squeezing and squeezing and squeezing. The one thing that I think is probably the best takeaway from this webinar is look for the squeezes above these areas and above some of the swings in here, and then look for the sellers to drive it to the other side of the range and hit the liquidity that we're looking for. Right? So we see this again and again. Now, how to deal with this is go back and take a look. Right up in here, we took a look at this up in here, and I was looking for the squeeze up into this liquidity above 40 up here, and we didn't get it, and then we got sellers. So that told me, at least, I know there's the passive liquidity got filled over here. That's good. I was still looking for a squeeze though, right? This is where we get, you'll see the everyone's going, wow, okay, lower high, here's our market structure, equal low here, lower high, lower low, maybe a small pullback, and then like boom, to the downside. Well, what did it do? It squeezed to the upside, went above this swing, but couldn't get above the swing up here. Then it failed, right? That's when we want to look at some of these areas. Like this is a classic one, and we learned something from that the market sentiment, since we didn't come up and squeeze up into this area up in here, the market sentiment is negative. We know that, right? So then in here, same idea. Here the back and forth in here, squeeze. This is what we were kind of looking for over here. We didn't get it. Okay. So in the bigger picture, the market sentiment is negative. In this one in here, after the big move to the downside, we see a squeeze up above, but the failure. Okay. And then look back into this here, into this behavior in here. Okay. So here, it failed here. Okay. Here it kind of chopped around, and then this one failed. Up here, it failed and came back down into the range, and then this one failed here. Okay. Now we're seeing kind of a bigger failure here and a bigger squeeze. Okay, so where might this go? Well, maybe back up into 37. Okay. Okay, and we're just trying to understand the behavior in here and in this choppy environment. And I'm just going over some of these things of looking back historically in the recent historic past here and putting some pieces together. Okay, so anticipate that kind of activity to unfold. And do you want to trade in this environment? Does your setup work in this environment? This is part of the process in here that we went through. Impetus, what's moving the market, and then our key levels on higher time frames, and then scenarios. And finally, if we can get to a setup, in this case, we didn't even really get to setups in here. We just kept on going through scenarios and strategies in here, like up in here. Now, we're just breaching above this one, and we did not squeeze higher, not yet at least. We just breached above here, and then now we're finding sellers. Okay, where are the sellers going to drive it? How much liquidity was filled on the offer in these areas along the way? Where might sellers drive price? Well, maybe to here, maybe to this swing in here, maybe all the way back down. Anyway, guys, we'll wrap it up here, and we'll call it a day, and we'll catch up with you guys on Friday. All right. Be careful. Keep an eye out for the earnings tomorrow, and any data or geopolitical stuff coming our way, because we're going to see some back and forth. All right, guys. Yeah. Have a good rest of your day, and we'll catch up on Friday. All right. Bye bye.